Welcome to the channel, guys. This is Josh with Graceful Productions. I had a few people ask me about different shortcuts and stuff in Logic Pro, and I thought that would be a great first video to put up. So without further ado, this video will be about three different categories of shortcuts within Logic Pro. They're pretty basic, but it just helps you move around the program a little quicker. So it'll be track shortcuts, window control shortcuts, and then last but not least, your organizational shortcut. So without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, I wanted to start off with track shortcuts just because right when you open up Logic, the first thing you're going to do is want to add new tracks. When you open up a new project, you're going to want to add in new instruments. And so what you can do is push Option Command N, which will bring up new instruments, and you can use your arrow keys to select which one. But if you want to get more specific, you could go Option Command A, which would be for a new audio track, or Option Command S for MIDI instrument track. There is also a option drag. If so, let's say you put in instrument track or whatever and you want to have an exact copy of that track, you can option click that track and drag it down, and it'll have basically a duplication of that track. And you can do that with anything. Next thing is our window shortcuts. So when I say window, I mean like the full screen, your library, your fader section, playlist, all that. So the reason I'm putting these shortcuts in here is because it controls the window, obviously, but it also like helps your workflow and helps you focus on what you're trying to focus on, so that everything that there's no limiting factors outside of that, like taking your attention, just distracting you basically. Because me with ADHD, like that stuff really messes with me. So having the window nice and clean is what's important so that you don't get sidetracked. So first things first, like if you want close your library, which is where you get all your instruments from, you press Y, and then your fader section I, and if you want to reopen them, it's Y and I. So the next thing is setting up markers for you so that you can set your sections out for your song. So when you're arranging, create markers, it's Command K, and then to pull out your arrangement section, it's Command A. If you want to fix your tempo and stuff, you can slide it up in the beats and time measure. Press Shift Command T. I mean, those could definitely go into your organizational method, but it's also window control to me, and it's something to keep in mind if you want to use it or not. Other key components for your mixer, X. And then you can also push Command 2 to open up a second separate window for your mixer if you ever wanted to do that. You can also open your playlist by pressing Command 1, and you can flip-flop between those two. Another important section would be your piano roll. So if you want to open your piano roll, you press P. Also, if you highlight a region and then you open up your piano roll and it's not there, by pressing the shortcut, press Z, and it'll snap to whatever measure you highlighted. So you're not scrolling around searching for it. It saves a little bit of time. Also, to highlight, hold Shift and then click and highlight whatever sections you're needing so that they're all selected at the same time. And then you can press P and it'll open up that piano roll to those sections too. And then again, if it doesn't snap right to it, press Z. Also in piano roll, it's important if you're trying to move notes around and stuff, use Command A to select all. Option arrows up and down are half step movements. Shift Option up and down arrows are octave movements. And if you hold Shift and then click whatever you have highlighted, it will duplicate that and you can move that individually. Next up would be the zoom function. Your zoom function is Command arrow keys. If you command up, command left and right. If you want to snap it to full screen, so like from the start to the end, you press Z, or you can go up into the corner. You can save time by pressing Z. And so back to highlighting everything. If you want to highlight your tracks the same way, you hold Shift, highlight whichever ones you want, and then use Command to deselect whatever ones you want. And that works with everything else as well. And so I'm going to open up a new project just to keep it simple and we can focus on what we need to talk about here. So we're going to start with some new tracks. Let's make about 10 of them. You can see the number of tracks down there at the bottom. We'll click enter. So now we have them all highlighted. If we want to name them, you just click them, type in whatever you want. Let's make a drum set. So there's kick, and then you press tab for the to switch down to the next track. So we got our snare, our hi-hat. Let's do tom and then tom 2. So there's our drum kit. And then let's do some piano, string section. So we got the violin, the viola, the double bass, and then let's put a pad at the bottom. You can click and drag to reorganize the tracks however you see fit. So let's put a region for every track here. I select them all to select the length for every one. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is color these regions and name them and organize them into groups. What you can do is color each section so that it corresponds with whatever section you're working on, so it's a little bit more organized that way. In order to change the track header color, you have to right click on whatever you want selected, right click down to assign track color, and then that'll change the track header section so that when you use the shortcut in the playlist, it'll all change to the right color. I'm not sure why Logic has that way, but that's how I've done it. Let's say you added in a new track and you wanted to change the name on that track or any other track that you've had. Change the name by clicking on it, and then when you use the shortcut in the playlist, it'll rename the regions to the new name that you've typed in. So now that we have them all colored, we're not going to worry about the playlist color yet because we're going to group them real quick. So group is select whatever you want in your group, hold shift, and then Command G will group them all together. So then you have to go back and right click, assign track color to that group section, and then create the rest of your groups and then use the shortcut in the playlist. It takes a little bit of time to get organized, but it'll save you so much time in the long run because you know where everything is. And then we have our string section, and then the pad is going to stay by itself. So we're going to open them back up. So when I talked about renaming sections, this is what I'm just going to change these to violin 1 and violin 2. We added a section or whatever when we were creating. And so now Shift Option N to rename, Shift Option C to change color. When you close your groups and everything, when you have like a however many track session, 15, 20, 40, creating groups will simplify it into this section, and it even works in your mixer too. So you can just keep it as minimal as possible and organized, clean, and neat. So you know what each section is doing and where you're at. I'm just going to go ahead and open up one of the projects that I'm working on just so you can see the groups in action and how everything's all separated. As you can see, there's different groups that I've created, one for harmony, one for melody. They have different instruments in there, all color coded, aligned and everything. And some sections are muted just to create that arrangement within the song structure. Hopefully this helps. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and message me, comment below, and you know what else to do. Subscribe, click that bell. Peace.